It's time to put your health in your own hands. Get ready to learn from today's top health and wellness innovators and thought leaders on Optimal Health Radio. Now, here's your host.
Hi, everyone. This is Tammy Patzer, and I'm really excited to introduce today's guest, Joy ANGEVIN BALMER. Joy is an evidence-based energy healer validated by scientific research. She is a former educator for more than 30 years, and she created a very successful homeschool assistance program and worked with students of all ages and in all areas of instruction. She has a deep belief in the power of education, coupled with an understanding that only through connection to the divine can people reach their highest potential. Joy sought ways to integrate traditional education with holistic healing and the spiritual journey. In 2010, she met Guruji Mahendra Trivedi, founder of Trivedi Global Incorporated and the Trivedi Effect. She experienced profound personal transformation on all levels. She was inspired to join the Trivedi Healers Mastery Program, where under the guidance of Guruji Trivedi, her natural healing gifts blossomed. Inspired, Joy retired from her homeschooling program in 2014 to become a spiritual, holistic, medicine-based healer. The impact of her biofield energy healing abilities on overall health, improved quality of life, and increased vitamin D3 absorption have been validated by the rigor of internationally accepted models of scientific research and published in multiple peer-reviewed scientific journals. Welcome, Joy.
Thank you, Tammy. It's so great to be here today.
This is pretty exciting because I've interviewed you before about the Trivedi Effect, but I think that it's something that we really should learn more about. So today, if you can refresh the audience memory about the Trivedi Effect, and then we're going to take a deep dive into the topic of depression, and you're going to reveal some of your personal experience with it, and then talk more about the Trivedi Effect. So first of all, if you can just give us a short overview of the Trivedi Effect and what it is, that would be really great.
That sounds good, Tammy. So, the important thing to know about the Trivedi Effect is that it was founded by Guruji Mahendra Trivedi, who discovered and claimed the name Trivedi Effect. It is an energy that transforms and potentizes every living thing. He has validated the Trivedi Effect in over 350 publications, different projects. I mean, there's one science project that he did where he had experienced the Trivedi Effect in a little petri dish of cancer cells, and it was able to kill the cancer cells while leaving the healthy cells viable. So he's just, on every subject, agriculture, biology, he's been proving the Trivedi Effect over and over and over. And that's what's so amazing about the Trivedi Effect. The Trivedi Effect is the connection between you and the God of your understanding. Guruji likes to describe it as the internet connection, where he is connecting you, like the internet, to the satellite, to your own personal computer, and he is the internet connection. Or in my case, if I do the blessings, I would be that internet provider that connects you to the God of your understanding with the Trivedi Effect, with this energy.
That's really interesting because right before we got on our interview today, my computer was giving me a very slow interconnection with the internet. So I know exactly what you need. So basically you're talking about the life force energy, the creator energy, the God energy, the God of your understanding, and Guruji or you are like this conduit that helps it all connect so that you have a really strong, fast connection. I think that's one of the coolest things.
Yeah, that's the greatest example, because when you know how frustrated you are when your internet is slow. Well, when you're not connected to the divine, or you're not connected to the God of your understanding, you're also frustrated, maybe in other ways. Maybe your health isn't so good. Maybe your relationships with your friends and peers are not so good. Maybe, it's slower. Life is not that beautiful, loving pace that you really want to experience when you're connected to the God of your understanding.
I really do like that analogy, and it makes a lot of sense. So we've got it down. Now we know that the Trivedi effect is the connection between you or a person, a pet, agriculture, non-living things, living things, to the creator or the life force energy. Now, tell me more about your experience and your journey. You mentioned the topic of depression today, and we really want to talk about that because millions of people suffer from depression around the world. So maybe you can just give me more of an idea of this idea of depression and how it affects us all. And then if you have a personal experience, that would be really helpful, just so that we can paint this picture for all of our listeners.
Great. Tammy, it's a huge topic. I mean, National Center of Health in 2018 reported that 1 out of 12 American adults have depression, or that's every year. That's a huge amount. The World Health in 2018 reported that over 300 million people have depression annually, globally. Women are twice as likely to have depression as men. And they have all the different types. They have SAD, seasonal affect disorder. They have chronic depression. They have bipolar depression more often than men do. The financial burden, the Journal of Clinical Psychiatry put together collaborations from 2015 till 2005 to 2015. And the financial burden now is $210.5 billion a year because of depression. And that's a 21.5% increase over the cost of depression in 2005.
And that's billion with a B.
We're talking billion with a B. And that's the total estimated economic burden. That includes days off work for those who are working. It includes the cost of, psychiatric help, whatever. That's the total cost. But that's huge. That's a huge economic burden because of depression. Depression is an interesting thing because certain medications that you might take can set off depression. And that's the problem with treating depression. Diseases can cause depression. And it's kind of like what comes first, the chicken or the egg? They don't know what comes first. Is it the disease that comes first, or is it the depression that comes first? And there needs to be a lot more scientific research on that particular question. It comes up with cardiovascular problems. People who have cardiovascular problems can have depression, and vice versa. People who start out with depression can develop cardiovascular problems. People who, there's a quote that people who are obese are 32% more likely to have depression than those who are not. So the interrelationship between so many things is so strong with depression. And in my case, I had Lyme's disease. Now, the symptoms, for Lyme's disease are aches and pains, fatigue, sleep disorders. It's a neurological disease, so there's tingling. For me, I remember having I thought about that children's book, Spots on Pop, or anyway, it's a funny book where there's spots all over dogs and all over people, and that's how I felt. I felt like I had spots of tingling all over my body that moved all around, and that's one of the symptoms of Lyme's disease. But now, but then it just, that's also the depression, anxiety are symptoms of Lyme's disease, dizziness, sensitivity to light, and those are also symptoms of depression. I mean, maybe not so much the sensitivity, but I know in older people that have depression, their major complaint is aches and pains, fatigue, not wanting to socialize. And that's such a huge thing with Lyme's disease. This, for me, I didn't want to go anywhere or socialize with anybody. So, it's.
Can you tell me a little bit more? So you had Lyme's disease. How long did it take? Did you ever determine how long it was from the time you transacted that? Because that's from getting bitten by a tick. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So
the bacteria that lives in the tick and then transfers into your system.
So how long did you ever determine how long you had Lyme's disease?
Lyme's disease is such an interesting disease because I was bitten by the tick probably, 10 to 15 years ago. And I found the tick. I took it off my body. I developed the bullseye. I had inflammation all around the bullseye area, and then I started to have headaches, which is the first symptom. I immediately went to the clinic, but I was in Iowa, and the doctor that was there just was adamant, no, there's no Lyme's disease in Iowa. And so I was like stuck. And this is a typical story for people with Lyme's disease. They just say there's no Lyme's disease.
Well, you had the bullseye, which is like, hey.
Well, this doctor was absolutely positive that bullseye, that inflammation on my abdomen was from a body part of the tick still in the site where the tick bit me. And so she took a tweezers and she was like prodding all along inside my body. It hurt so bad, trying to find a body part. Of course, there was no body part because I had the tick in a plastic bag in my refrigerator. And my first husband was a biologist, and so we had microscopes. We looked at the tick. I mean, we knew what was going on. But anyway, the doctor wouldn't give me any antibiotics. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I've got this whole symptoms of Lyme disease and I can't get any treatment for it. And that's what we thought at the time was the treatment, to take doxycycline for 3 weeks. So I had a friend who wasn't practicing but could still write prescriptions. He was a doctor. And he wrote me a prescription. So I actually went underground to get antibiotics, which for me is kind of like a joke because I am so anti the use of antibiotics if you don't need them,
Well, I would say in this case you needed them because that is just proving the point how important it is that we all need to take our own health into our own hands, and that you cannot necessarily trust a doctor who claims, oh, just because we're in Iowa, we can't possibly have a Lyme disease tick, when the reality of life is a tick, let's say that a deer from a Lyme disease place comes into Iowa and drops the pick. I mean, and the world we live in, you could have been traveling somewhere where that pick was. I mean, that to me is just plain medical arrogance on that part of that doctor. And you're lucky, I guess, that you went to somebody who would at least try to help you. Now, so you actually caught it probably fairly close in time.
Well, that's the thing about Lyme's disease. It can hide in the system, in your immune system. I took the 3-week dose, but I still had the symptoms. I still had headaches. I still had fatigue. I still had the pain in the neck. And so I took another dose. I went back to my friend who was the non-practicing physician. I took so I took 6 full weeks of doxycycline, and I felt like it was burning me up from the inside out. I remember the palms of my hands were on fire. They felt like they were blistering from the antibiotics. And so at that point I stopped. And at that point the symptoms stopped. And I thought I didn't have Lyme's disease. I never thought about Lyme's disease again for like 10 years. And I'm a person who eats healthy. I exercise every day. So I've just kind of did the things that would support a healthy system anyway. And then I had 3 life events that happened all at once. I got remarried. My mother died. And I moved to Hawaii. So that happened within like 3 months of each other. All these things, and
basically 2 good things and 1 really bad thing.
Yeah, and when I moved, because we were going to Hawaii, we couldn't take things with us, and I was just giving away and throwing away things right and left, just everything. I mean, I was down to like a suitcase and 5 boxes. I mean, basically. Everything is gone. And I just didn't think anything of it. But looking back, I can see now that was part of the Lyme's disease starting to materialize. Because with Lyme's disease, we don't have emotional attachments to things. You just kind of can let go of things. It's a real interesting, very subtle symptom. But, if it's very severe, then you just feel numb. And it's like sort of like maybe the very beginning baby steps of the depression starting to take place. But you don't know because I was moving and I was just throwing things out right and left. After I had arrived in Hawaii, maybe 4 months into this, I was pretty severely depressed. I would still walk every morning, but I'd be looking at this gorgeous ocean and these beautiful sandy beach and palm trees. And I was thinking, life is just not worth living. I mean, it was suicidal thoughts, but not like I was going to do anything about it, but just this constant current of life is just a drag. Life is just, how can it be like this when it's so beautiful, but it's so it was awful to have this dichotomy going on. I could get up and I could do things, but there was no joy. There was no life. And I didn't even start to like connect it. I thought, okay, I moved and I don't know anybody. And so, this is why I feel this way. But, and that's how hard Lyme's disease is, because you don't have like an immediate maybe. Some people have, but I had then right away I had I had the 2 toes in my right foot, the joints just disintegrate, so I could hardly walk. And that was you're like, okay. And I should have started to think about Lyme's disease at that point, because joint problems is one of the biggest things that happens. But it wasn't until I had the cardiac problems with the Lyme's disease that I started to put it all together and realized that I had Lyme's disease, and then started to get tested. But the depression part was this thing that went through the whole time of the time that I had Lyme disease, even when I started taking the herbs that were going to help me heal. And I think that, it's such an interesting thing to look back on, because I was experiencing the Trivedi effect of daily transmission programs through Gurji the entire time that this unfolded. And I just feel so lucky that I had him supporting me every single night during that time, because I just think what I experienced was fairly minor, but still huge. And I just I'm so grateful and feel so lucky that I had the Trivedi effect during that time, because the depression, that was always there, I just think could have been 100 times worse. And I know when I read about the depression that people have, all these people, these 300 million people globally, I'm just amazed. It's just such a horrible disease. It's just such a debilitating situation to be in.
So with the Lyme disease, so during this time you were getting the energy transmissions. Do you feel that helped you to open up or to realize what was going on, that this Lyme disease was still, or reactivated, I guess, because I guess it sounds like it kind of went dormant, or that you didn't notice it, but then it reactivated and then you started to have the symptoms. So how do you feel the Trivedi effect helped you through this? Have you now gotten the correct treatment for it? And has your body, are you in remission? Is it gone? Where are you at now with the Lyme's disease, to your knowledge?
You were right. For me, the Lyme's disease went dormant, or it just hid in my system. Tests that I took came out negative, and that happens to so many people. That's why it's so frustrating. And if you go to just your regular practitioner, they don't know very much about Lyme's disease. I think more and more they're knowing more and more, so it's getting better and better. But you need to go to a Lyme's disease specialist to get any kind of real help, it seems like. I took a whole series. The antibiotics didn't work for me, and they don't work for everybody. For some people they seem to work, but for other people they don't do anything. And I ended up taking a series of herbal supplements. But again, I had the Trivedi effect. So I was also having, Gurji, the Trivedi effect helps on so many levels. 60% cardiac cell function improvement is one of the results that you can read on the Trivedi.com. Memory improvement, 100% improvement in mood and stamina. Well, that was just what I need. So every single night I was getting a treatment that boosted my mood. So even though I was feeling depression, I was still feeling like this thing in the back of my mind, okay, I'm just going through this. This is my destiny right now, to suffer this Lyme's disease for whatever reason. But I'm going through it with sort of grace, if that makes any sense. It was kind of yes, I could feel the depression, but I could also feel that I was being supported and that I was improving. So it was kind of an interesting thing, because there were two things going on all the time. I don't know that's how I just felt like the Trivedi. I just know that if I didn't have the Trivedi effect, I could still be suffering, or I would have had to take that herbal supplements a lot longer than I did. But now I feel I'm total remission. I have my memories functioning properly. My brain is clear. Don't have brain fog. I don't have joint pain. I have so much energy. I have more energy than most people, in their 20s and 30s. I just feel, happy all the time. I don't feel like, oh man, it's just a completely different world. That's what it is. It's just amazing.
So you're living up to your name, Joy.
Exactly.
And I know you have a lot of energy, because you were telling me how you were taking care of your very energetic little grandson. And believe me, I know how much energy babies and toddlers take. So I can certainly understand that. So can you talk a little bit more about the Trivedi effect in terms of, so you actually had the personal experience of having the energy transmissions on a daily basis while you were fighting, while your body was fighting the Lyme's disease that I guess apparently came back or had been dormant and then reactivated. Because if you look at what you said happened in your life, the three biggest things that can happen to you happened to you within 3 months. Your mother passed away, so that scores extremely high on the stress level. You got married, even though that's a very good thing that happens, it's still extremely stressful because you're making this huge commitment. And then, of course, you moved from, I guess, Iowa to Hawaii, and I can imagine that would have been a pretty dramatic change.
Right.
To go from something very simple. So it's my understanding that a lot of the things, like, for example, with Trivedi effect, that many people experience when they first start getting the transmissions, the life force energy transmissions, is better sleep quality. Sometimes it's that, like you said, that feeling of well-being and a knowingness that you are more connected and you're able to cope better. Is that some of the things that you received?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, the Trivedi effect does not stop you from having your destiny. It does not stop you from losing a job that you're not supposed to have. It does not stop you from getting a disease that's part of your destiny. For whatever reason, my Lyme's disease manifested when I moved to Hawaii. But because I had Gurgi every single night, and the Trivedi effect, it does just those things: increased energy level, better quality sleep, improved mood, stronger immune system, greater clarity and focus. Those are all the things that people with depression have problems with. Those are all the things that happen with Lyme's disease. I mean, those are the issues. Those are huge issues that a person has to deal with every single day when they're depressed. Improvement with relationships. That was my biggest thing. I did not want to go out and socialize at all. I mean, I didn't want to leave the house, but I would, because I was in the habit of walking every single day, and so I would go for a walk. So even though I had Lyme's disease, I had this every single night, this boost. I was, again, started my business page for Joy Blessings on Facebook, and they have this little thing you can buy boosts, and then you can, it sends out your business page or your message, whatever, to so many, it says how many more people, whatever. And I was thinking, that's like the Trivedi effect. You can have this connection and it's a boost. So you might still be going through, like in my case, Lyme's disease, you might be going through a very difficult time. And that's just what happens with people. They have great times, they have difficult times. But you can have the Trivedi effect, and there can be this boost that helps you through that time. And that's how I look at what happened to me. And that's why I feel so fortunate to have the Trivedi effect in my life during the time that I had Lyme's disease.
Well, that's really a phenomenal personal story about that transformation that you felt. Now, you actually are a scientifically validated life force energy healer also, so that you can act like that. I guess you're a hot spot in the internet provider world for people. And can you tell me more about how you work with people and what some of the projects that you personally like to work with? I know some people focus on personal development. Other people work a lot with pets. Other people work on agriculture. Can you tell me more about what you focus on and the people who you like to work with, who you feel you can be of the most benefit to?
You know, I feel like the people that I like to work with anyone really, and pets. Pets are really fun to work with because they're very receptive. And in fact, when I give my blessings, I like to give them at night to people or pets when they're asleep, because that's when you're more receptive. That's your most receptive state for this divine energy. But people who have psychological problems, I like to work with, and not necessarily, well, yeah, because mental problems like depression create pain in the physiology, create fatigue in the physiology. So you can have a problem like pain or fatigue or sleep disorders or, eating disorders, and it could be psychological. So those kinds of issues I like to work with. My scientific research came out with a 240% improvement in APL, which is ALP, which is an enzyme that helps with bone health. Which in Lyme's disease, it's like, your joints disintegrating like mine. I mean, those kinds of things I can be very supportive with.
So would you suggest that everybody go check out joyblessings.com?
That's it, Tammy, joyblessings.com.
And I know on your website, you've got the scientific research papers, there's some blogs, there's some testimonials, there's all kinds of information, plus the different programs that you have when you work with people. So joyblessings.com. And then, of course, you also, you have a Facebook page that people can check out also?
Right. Joy Blessings at Life Force Energy Transmissions.
Okay, Life Force Energy Transmissions. So, and I know that I've done a little bit of research on you, and I've seen some of the press that has been done about you. So congratulations on the press recognizing you. I saw that that information was picked up on ABC, NBC, CBS, and then all of the different scientific journals that the publications are in. And again, the Trivedi effect, what I find so interesting about it is that Guruji Mahendra Trivedi, here he had this gift and he said, hey, this needs to be scientifically validated. And so he went about scientifically validating with more than 4,000 experiments. And if you look at just the sheer number of experiments on the life force energy transmissions and the Trivedi effect, that is a phenomenal number of experiments. And then the work that you've done to be validated also is phenomenal, because the more research is done, and with science, they're always trying to disprove that something works. And the science is proving that this energy does work and it does have improvement. So I think that that's really important. So if somebody wants to meet with you, they can go to your website, joyblessings.com. Before I let you go, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Well, I'd like to just say, reiterate what you just said, in that thing that I really like about this whole energy and this whole is that it's ushering a new science, a new paradigm, a new way of thinking, which to me is just so exciting. It's so exciting. And it's like every time there's a change in human consciousness, everybody there's a new way of thinking, a new way of looking at science. And that's what this paradigm is. It's going to change humanity from this point on. And I'm really, really excited about being able to do science experiments and being a scientifically validated healer where I can help people when they have little things come up.
Well, that's phenomenal. And again, everyone, it's joyblessings.com. And I would say that what the easiest way to find out about the Trivedi effect and Joy Blessings, obviously, is to experience it. Would you agree with that, Joy, that it's really only something that you can measure based on personal experience and how it affects you?
And it affects everybody differently. Everybody has their own unique body and their own unique way of experiencing the Trivedi effect. So yes, you're absolutely right.
So thank you so much, Joy, for being interviewed today. And I'll invite you back again where we can do another deep dive into a topic. And today we talked about Lyme's disease and depression and Joy's personal experience with the Trivedi effect. And now she is a scientifically validated life force energy healer. So you can go check out joyblessings.com and find out more for yourself. Check out the science, find out more, read the testimonials, read all the press. And I think you'll find that, just like what Joy said, it's a new paradigm in science, and it's worth your time to go check it out. So thanks a lot, Joy.
Thank you, Tammy.
This is Tammy Patzer. Go make it a beautiful day.
You've been listening to today's top health and wellness innovators and thought leaders on Optimal Health Radio. To get more solid health and wellness information, visit optimalhealthradio.com.